Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
I am Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Hey up. We're back. It's the Superbike Show. We are live. This is Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. And it's been a good few weeks since we've been away. What have we been doing? Well, none of your business. But we are back this evening and we are live tonight with Liam Hodgins. Good evening, Liam.
Good evening, Lester.
And
you out there as well.
Yes, and all that sort of stuff. And also joining us, he couldn't find a proper sized chair to sit on, so we made him sit on the on the child's seat. It is Michael Howarth. Good evening, Michael.
Coming to you live from my mother's bedroom. How are you?
Not exactly the sort of place I thought I'd be this evening, but okay, fair enough.
First for you in a woman's bedroom, Lester.
Hey. Fantastic. Hello if you're brand new to the show, brand new to Motorsport Radio, and you don't know what we do. Well, we just chat about bikes and cars and that sort of things, mostly about bikes. And if you are brand new to the Superbike Show, well, got a little treat for you, because we have on tonight's show BSB race winner. No, not Michael Howarth. It is Josh Elliott on the show. Yes, he's going to be here tonight in minutes to tell us all about what, though I can't imagine. He's basically going to open up and let us know just how great his 29 season was, up until he got let go by OMG Racing just a day or so ago. We might ask him about that as well. If you've got any good questions, we might put them to him as well. So get them to us right now, because we are live this evening. It's at Motorsport Radio on Facebook. It's Motorsport Radio on Twitter. Yeah, we got a brand new Twitter handle as well.
That happened months ago.
Yeah, well, we've been away for months.
This shows the last time we were on the show.
Yeah, I've not even cut my hair since then. Anyway, so we are live, and tonight we'll be talking about basically everything, all the gossip, all the latest comings and goings, mostly goings. Also, Jonathan Ray as well, chatting a bit about him. Is he the greatest ever? Some people say no, he's not as good as Foggy. What do you think? Let us know. Get in touch and have your say on the show tonight. We will get into that debate a bit later on, but yeah, we've got the small matter of BSB, I think, to start off with on the show. And well, Liam, there's already been some comings and goings in the past few weeks. I think maybe the biggest, it's fair to say, though, Liam, is Glenn Irwin, as you probably already know, has gone from Tyco.
Yeah, we reported it last week on the show. I can't believe it's already a week ago it's already happened, but Glenn Irwin has gone from Tyco BMW, and this weekend he will be replaced by former Superstock 1000 champion Taylor McKenzie. So it's just a one-off ride at the moment, but he will be partnering Christian Idden in the team, and he'll be the second of the McKenzies. So Taylor and Taz McKenzie will be riding in the British Superbike Championship. I've also heard that he will still be doing his Superstock duties in the 1000 with Batham. So, yeah, lots going on for Taylor McKenzie this weekend. And, well, I think Michael will probably like to chime in this. What do we expect from his weekend?
From Taylor?
From Taylor, yeah.
Well, it's just going to be a weekend of him building on that really. It seems very strange that Glenn was dropped from the Tyco team with only 2 rems to go, so you can only surmise from that he signed for someone else. Tyco found out about it in BMW and said that your services are no longer required, because it makes sense if they're developing a bike, which I'm quite sure they're quite busy doing at the moment. They're not going to really want to give anything away to Glenn anymore if he's signed for another team. But yeah, I think Taylor just needs to work and enjoy himself. It's hard work jumping between 2 bikes, even though they support, there's quite a few similarities. But yeah, I see he just wants to go out and enjoy it, doesn't he?
He does indeed, yeah. And well, fingers crossed it'll be a good weekend for him. And, well, in other news, we've got, what's going on? Gino Ray will be back on the MV Agusta with a few remaining races, so he'll be seeing out the season for that team. And, of course, Josh Elliott, missing out on his OMG Racing. So, yeah, Josh Elliott will be out for this weekend, and James Ellison will be back in for the rest of the season, unfortunately, for Josh Elliott.
Well, talking about Josh Elliott, literally. And we did promise him. We did promise you that we'd get him on the show, and in fact, here he is. Hello, good evening, Josh.
Hi guys, how's it going?
We're all right. How are you?
I've been better.
I can imagine it's been a bit of a rough few days, I suppose. But hey ho, we'll talk about it all, including all the good bits as well, the race wins, podiums, and the when the bike was good, etc. We will get into that. But first, I suppose, obviously, we have to ask you, first of all, about what's been going on at OMG Racing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's obviously, everybody knows now that myself and OMG Racing is part of the company. It's very unfortunate. It's not something that, I started the year, we're all very happy with everything and never expected this to happen, really. It's very disappointing and unfortunate, but, that's where we are now. And, unfortunately, things just got... Things just sort of took a turn for the worst. I suppose after Cadwell Park, going into Oulton Park, things changed a lot, and and here we are now. So very unfortunate, but what can you do? These decisions were made, and that's that really. Just have to focus now on 2020 and getting a good team around me and a competitive bike and show them what I can do.
It's interesting that you say that a few things changed, and obviously you're talking about stuff behind the scenes, stuff that we don't know about. Since you're on, well, what did go on? Because originally it turned out to be that you had this quote illness. I don't know if that was the case or not, but. Well, what actually did lead to was it financial or disagreements in the team or something?
No, it was nothing. I see. Obviously, a lot of people don't know what's been going on, and then you see a lot of things online. People thinking it's financial.
Well, that would be the obvious thing to think about, wouldn't it? Because you're a race winner.
Yeah. No, that was never the issue. I wasn't paying to be sat there. OMG, they were very nice to me. They gave me a good contract, and good bonuses as well. So there was no issue there. It was really just yes, we had great success at round one, and then just sort of one thing after another. We'd a few things go wrong and suffered from technical issues that weren't really sorted out or dealt with, and just one round led into another with the same issues. And I suppose me being a rookie in the class, and it was sort of tough to be to sort of say, I my view that what was wrong with the bike and everything else, and I think they had their view, whether that be me or something else, and we just sort of butted heads a wee bit, and just weren't able obviously to sort it out. They've put Billy McConnell on the bike at Oulton Park, and then put James Ellis on at Assen, and nothing seems to have changed. So for me, it's an issue. It's a technical issue that just hasn't been sorted out. You can see Bill Base, the Bill Base guys. They've been struggling all year, and then all of a sudden, they've found what was wrong. Gave the confidence back to Bradley Ray, and Luke Stapleford, obviously at Assen, and you seen what happened. So I think if it was given the time. Given the opportunity to try and sort the issue out, rather than taking me off the bike and putting somebody else on it, it would have been a lot better. But the decision was made, and I had to just go along with it. Really, I had no other option, and that's basically it. Really.
Okay.
Did you never get a chance to try the standard wheel arm in the Superbike, Josh? Like Bradley Ray's gone back to, at Build Base?
No, not this year. It is something we thought of, and that probably would have been the one thing that and with possibly looking at maybe the engine characteristics and the electronics side of things, trying to tame the bike down, because Suzuki's quite a, you watch it at certain places like Oulton Park, especially at the start of the year, and it was a very hard bike to ride around those type of circuits. So you just need to try and tame the whole thing down, make it rideable. And
I'm guessing Ray Stringer does the engines, doesn't he? So I'm guessing the engine will be ridiculously powerful and very fast. But then, from experience from many years ago with Ray, I know that it is hard. Then you've got to tame the bike down and change electronics, and sometimes and this is not being disrespectful to Ray in any way, shape or form, but he wants you to ride a bike with as much power as it's kind of got, and sometimes you need to take that away. So I understand where you were struggling. So I know that they just can't, for whatever reason in BSB, they can't seem to get the chassis working brilliantly on the Suzuki. I know you were on K-Tech suspension, which will have put you on the back foot to every other Suzuki on the grid. Even Bradley's changed to Öhlins now. I'm guessing that was your preference to be on K-Tech, but anyone that's not running the Yoshimura swinging arm in America works with the Dunlops, but it seems to be that if you want to call it a factory swinging arm, even though it's not, it's an FTR or something, isn't it? On that, it just doesn't seem to be able to give you the grip and the confidence that you need, whereas the standard swinging arm does. Yeah.
Well, as you say, with the K-Tech, we were given the option. We tested the K-Tech. Myself and Luke both tested the K-Tech and the Öhlins at Cartagena at the end of 2018. I seemed to get on with it all right. I said, it feels good. We done some good lap times. Luke, I think he was stepping off a few years of being on Öhlins and wanted to, stay on Öhlins. So the decision was made to have me in the K-Tech and then Luke on the Öhlins, which is hard as well, because we found out during the year, we couldn't really. The data was hard to compare because the Öhlins would work differently to the K-Tech. And quite difficult, as you say, the Öhlins, it really is, the world leader, I think, in suspension. You see everybody, at the front anyway on Öhlins, and obviously the rest, the Build Base guys, they've moved Öhlins this year, so it was difficult, this year when you go to certain tracks and you need that help. It's hard because you're the only rider on K-Tech, so we ran into that difficulty as well, but I wasn't. At the end of the day, we got it working. We got it working in pre-season testing and the first round. But we just found it difficult then to move from circuit to circuit with it. Where other teams didn't really, and we ran into that problem.
Yeah. Do you think you've struggled with that? Maybe a bit of lack of development, whereas the Ducati's moved on. They've been through God knows how many swing arms. I know that Tommy Bridewell's only changed the once, but I'm quite sure that PBM have gone through 5 or 6 different swinging arms. The Kawasaki's come on leaps and bounds in the hands of Danny Buck, and I know that Quattro Plant are struggling slightly with it still, but it seems like a lot of bikes have moved on from where you were at Round 1. You're saying you had a good feeling at Round 1 and then struggled a bit for the rest of the year, and not through you being any slower, just the fact that you couldn't move on a step further like the rest of the teams were around you.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, the Ducatis, the amount of swinging arms they're throwing at it, they're looking for edge grip or better drive grip or whatever, and that is the challenge you come up against in BSB. You got these teams that can throw swinging arms at it, a lot of money, a lot of development, and unfortunately, just like I said, we had these technical issues at certain rounds from round 2 really, and we couldn't get it sorted. I was wanting to go testing to try and find out rather than testing that track and trying to sort the problem out. Try and go to a test track or a test somewhere and try and sort it out there. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen. And what can you do? Like you're sort of going to a race weekend knowing that you're going to run into certain issues. And it was just quite difficult because obviously, like you said, you're up against such strong competition in this championship. and really good riders. And if you're on the back foot at all, it's going to show in your results. And you could be half a second off in this championship and be 15th, and just banging your head against the wall, thinking what's going on here, and that's just unfortunately the way it was.
Well, it is certainly good to see you at Donington, where you are this weekend. Presumably having a few meetings, Josh, to see if you can maybe grab a last-minute ride at the end of the season. That would be good. I know you definitely got a lot of fans who were crestfallen, I think is the polite way to say, when you dropped that news the other day. It was yesterday, wasn't it? I think it was Wednesday. It wasn't long ago. I mean, I know Liam's had a bag full of questions as well for you. So if we can keep you on for another few minutes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, just don't run away just yet.
But you know why? Be back.
Michael's run away. Now he's got his questions out the way. Josh, great to have you on tonight. Thanks so much for coming on. But you're in Donington this weekend, and presumably you'll be talking to a few teams. Have you potentially got anything lined up for this weekend?
Yeah, naturally. I'm here obviously trying to get something sorted. Speaking to a number of teams, as you said, and if something comes up between now and this weekend and Brands Hatch, I'd take the opportunity and hopefully get something sorted for 2020. I know I've got the speed. I don't doubt myself, and I know what I can do. So, if the opportunity came about that was a possibility, then I'd jump at it. Because at the end of the day, the past 2 rounds have been difficult. Sitting out and wanting to ride and being fit to ride, it's been quite tough. If I can get on a bike or get the opportunity to ride, I'll definitely take it.
We know you've had a bit of a strong relationship with Taz and Tycho in the past. They've got Taylor for this weekend, but nothing confirmed for Brands. Are you in talks with them?
Yeah. Obviously, I've still got a good relationship with everybody at Tycho. They essentially, Philip gave me a call in 2017 whenever I couldn't get a ride. Halfway through the year, he gave me a call up and got me on the bike for the rest of the season. And I think we won at Oulton Park on a few podiums. So, speaking to them guys, there's obviously a lot of seats. There's a lot of musical chairs sort of happening. A lot of riders moving, and a lot of riders have been confirmed already. So, you sort of know what teams are looking riders and what teams aren't. So, obviously speaking to Tycho, speaking to a few other teams and whatnot, and trying to figure something out really, and get on a good seat for 2020.
Looking at the bikes on the grid, what bike would you prefer to be on in terms of your riding style? What one do you think would actually suit your riding style the best? That's a bit of a tough question.
Naturally, riding with the Ducatis, that would naturally be, I think, would suit my sort of riding style. But I suppose in BSB, the bikes are, they're all fairly similar in a way. In the way you have to sort of set them up, and then the electronics and everything else. It's not sort of like World Superbike, where there's quite a difference. But yeah, the Ducati is obviously the one bike. Following it on track and watching it, you can really see the strong points of it, and you can see how it's sort of easier. You can see in a certain section of the track it's easier to ride, and it's not as sort of violent or wicked as some of the other 4-cylinders. But yeah, probably the Ducati and the BM, I suppose, as well. I've had a good chance to follow most of the manufacturers out there this year, and I've seen the strong points and weak points, and the new BM looks a really strong package, and I definitely think it's going to be even stronger next year and the years to come with more development. So those two bikes are definitely the two I'd probably pick to say that it would suit sort of my style.
We know that Michael Haworth is obviously with us tonight. He's looking for a comeback next year. What are the chances of you and him partnering up to maybe start up a team?
His dad would love it. His dad would be desperate for that to happen. I tell you what, we'll be partnering up on Saturday night if Josh don't get a ride this weekend in the bar. We'll be in the bar, mate.
I can imagine, Josh, you'd want to get a ride so he can stay at the bar away from him. It'll be a wild one.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I could be able to keep up with Michael. I'll definitely have a sore head in the morning.
I don't think it's me you have to worry about. I think it's our Doris. She took me out in Newcastle on Tuesday night, and for a 5'3" midget kind of bird, God, she jumped me under the table, boy. I was, and the worst part is she called me a southerner, and that's the worst insult you could ever give. But she is from further north than me. But Josh, so when you were saying that you've had a chance to follow a lot of the bikes this year, does Tommy Browell seems to struggle a lot with the edge grip, and that's why he's gone to the swinging arm he's gone to. Do the PBM bikes look more stable mid-corner and corner exit than Tommy's bike? Or do you think it's more just Tommy's style that he's struggling with edge grip?
I'm not too sure, especially anytime I've followed Tommy. He's got a very, very smooth riding style anyway. I don't... Tommy's probably one of the best riders to follow, I think. I see a big comparison between him and Scott Redden. Scott's a wee bit more on the edge, whether that's just because he doesn't know the circuits and he's pushing quite hard, but he just seems a wee bit more looser. And then you got Josh Brooks, who's ultra smooth as well. The bike's never really out of line. But no, it's not. If anything, I would say the edge grip the Ducatis have is a lot better than what anybody else has. But
yeah.
Tommy,
do you think it's the three riders that you've got on the bikes this year that are making the bike look slightly better than it actually is and makes it look further on than it was? I mean, Sylvain Barrier, he was on the bricks. Well, what was it? What was it? The Ducati is. He wasn't anywhere near them, was he? And I know his bike wasn't just as factory as the others like.
Yeah.
But I think personally, and I haven't been to a REM this year, but just from what I've seen on the TV, it does look like Ducati have got the right riders for the job, rather than the bike being so much more, like you said before. BSB, you can win on a different manufacturer. It's not just as critical as World Superbike, but it just seems that the Suzuki's not getting dialed in anywhere near as well as it should be by now. Especially, but I think Brad Ray made it look really good last year, and then we've seen him struggle this year. So I think everybody then thought that the Suzuki was a much easier package to ride than it actually is. And of course, then everything else has been developed. The BMW at the start of the year they were quite a way behind, which is not normally BMW style, and the Ducati's been brought on all year, like you said. So I think the Kawasaki and Danny Buchan's hands, that's come on leaps and bounds. Danny was. I've always rated Danny, and I wish Danny could get a proper World Superbike ride. I think he, on any machinery he went to World Superbikes in Danny, I think he would take it to Johnny Ray. He would be my vote for the next British champion in World Superbikes if he gets taken there, but he's going to have to get taken there quite soon because Danny's young, but he's not that young anymore.
Yeah. No, as you said, I think the three guys on the Ducatis, they're very, very good riders. Scott Redden, has come from MotoGP, and Tommy, I've always rated Tommy. Anytime I've seen him on track, he's got a great style and great riding style, and he's a smooth rider. And I think obviously Josh Brooks is British champion, previous British champion, with years of experience in Britain as well. So, as you said, I think those guys really have, they're probably the three best riders on the Ducatis, on the best bike, and you see it in the results. Really, there's nobody really touching them. There's a few guys, obviously, myself and a few others that have been up there, and I've been able to take it to them, but I think they've found over the year they've got better and better, and the teams as well. You say the riders, but the PBM, Steve Wilfmore and Motor Rapido, or the Oxford Products Ducati team. They've all got really good guys around them, really good teams, lots of experience, and that's obviously as well a key factor. I know Danny Buchan, FS3, good team as well. I know they get support of MSS guys, I think, as well. So they're all really experienced people, and they know what they're doing. So they're able to give the rider exactly what they want, and understand what it takes to win.
Yeah,
Sorry, Michael, on you go.
I believe that Danny Buchan's team, the FS3 guys, they're the factory team next year, aren't they? Well, the official team.
Yeah.
They've already signed their second rider, and I believe it's not Leon Haslam. So I think there's no doors open there. And then obviously Peter Exton's taking a back foot. I don't know if he's going to run anything next year, but I can't find out who this second rider is going to be at FS3. But apparently there's someone has put pen to paper. Let's just look at Josh's smile now. Let's look at his
Do you know anything, Josh?
Yeah, that's always a bit telling.
I think that smile means he knows who it is, but he's not. Probably won't say, will he? No.
There's obviously there's rumours going around. The paddock's unbelievable at the minute. The amount of rumours going around. This rider's riding here. This rider's signed there. People are talking to these people. It's just it's crazy at the minute. And
well, half of it is true. There's been that many comings and goings. It's literally it's so difficult to keep up. And you've brought your leathers with you to Donington. Hint, hint. If anyone fancies a fallout with their rider, give old Josh a call.
Yeah. It's been pretty crazy.
Why do you think there's so many changes in the championship, with riders changing teams and other manufacturers just taking other riders? Why do you think there's so much going on in terms of changes?
Yeah, massively, and in a way, obviously, it's exciting and brings a bit of drama to the paddock and whatever. But I think, in a way, I think riders need almost more protection in a way with contracts and whatever, because it is pretty crazy. At the end of the day, the team sort of has a lot of the power, and whatever they say goes, essentially, and it's quite tough on the rider,
Yeah, it's strange,
in my own experience,
that it has got so cutthroat with rider changes and stuff now, and people getting sacked for want of a better word for partway through a season, when you actually look at a timesheet, PSB has never been so close. From guys that are in the top 20, they're so close to pole position to the guys at the lead. You think that teams would actually be almost a bit more sympathetic to that, rather than, it seems to be now that there's certain teams, they think you're not cutting the mustard, but you look at the actual results, you're 4/10 off someone. Help me find out 4/10 and I can get up there, rather than pressuring a rider and pressuring him and then saying thanks but no thanks. I think, and another one of the problems is now, people have realised that as soon as we get them to the showdown, they've got 3 rems to find someone else that they may want to run next year to give them a chance before they make a decision, which is, so anyone now that's outside the top 6 is almost fighting for the job as soon as the showdown's done, and teams just want to get rid and find someone else, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. It really is cutthroat, and you are riding from year to year, essentially. You're on a 1-year contract, and you're coming this time of the year where you're trying to find a ride, and it is very, very difficult, because obviously the sport it's an expensive sport, and a lot of these teams they're obviously still trying to find budget for next year as well and everything else, so it is difficult, but hopefully we can get something sorted between now and Brands Hatch, and we can be back out there, and that'll be the ideal situation for myself, and going into 2020 I can get on a competitive machine and show what I can do.
Well, if I do make it back on the grid next year, I'll give you a tour here and there if you need an hand kit. Don't worry about it.
That's the words, Michael.
Yeah, stay tuned for further announcements about Michael Howarth's glittering career. So to be honest, Josh, I was super surprised that you'd even agreed to come on the show tonight, to be honest, because I sent Josh just a speculative message this afternoon. to be honest, didn't even think he'd reply. And he was so good. They not only replied, he actually turned up and answered all our questions. Whereas some riders, their heads might get down at this point. I've been given the heave-ho, and you'd be sort of, gone. You keep your head down for ages. But all credit to you, Josh. You're getting right back out there, back on your bike, hopefully. Yeah,
that's it. That'd be a dream to get back out there. And because at the end of the day, like I said, I want to be racing. It really has been. It's been a tough few weeks or a month or two. Not being racing, going to the racetrack and having to sit and watch. When you're fully fit and ready to race, it's just I haven't got words to describe how awful it's been. But
I think we can imagine the words.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, good luck in your, let's say, your sales pitch tomorrow at Donington. And the way BSB is right now, you just never know. We could see. I mean, Gino did it at Cadwell. Appeared on a bike, albeit because of some external thing with Danny Kent. But you never know. You never know. So good luck. I suspect it's not the last. It's definitely not the last we'll have seen of you in BSB at the top level anyway. So even if it's not to be for the rest of this year, best of luck in 2020. And thank you for coming on the Superbike show tonight, Josh.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. And thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in live. Thank you very much, guys, on the BSB fans Facebook group as well. This is the Superbike Show. It is Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. Well, that was interesting. We'll have a full debrief of what we found out from that. Michael Howarth's already working his contacts to find out who's on the FS3 bike for next year, I'm sure. But before we get into the rest of the news and the rest of the show, we have another big announcement, which is set to rock motorsport. Sort of, not quite, as in not at all. But so quickly. It's back for 2019, and on Monday, the 2019 Motorsport Awards returns. Yes, and we will launch the nominations phase, which is basically the chance that you have to nominate your favourite rider, driver, team, championship, best race circuit, best facility, best plate of food, because we know there's been a bit of controversy about that this season. Whatever it is, the poll's open on Monday from midday. Check it out, motorsportawards.com. And Motorsport Radio is once again the official broadcaster of the official Motorsport Awards. So yeah, loads of stuff to get through. In the coming weeks, you will be basically bombarded with lots of stuff all about the Motorsport Awards. Check it out on Monday from midday, because that's when the nominations phase opens. Any early ideas, Michael, about maybe who you'd nominate for Rider of the Year, perhaps?
We're trying to think of best chipping nearest at circuit, to be honest. Best rider. Well, to be fair, whether he wins or loses the championship, I think you've got to throw it to Scott Redding in BSB, for the simple fact that he's managed to come and cut the mustard much sooner than everybody thought. I definitely thought Scott would need 2 years, and he's just completely destroyed that and showed what a real class act he is. Tommy Bridewell would be right up there, but Tommy's rode the circuits for a long time. Going up into World Superbikes, then there's one obvious choice there, really, and MotoGP there's one obvious choice. But yeah, for BSB, I think you'd have to go with Scott.
Well, I'm sure that will be a popular opinion. Maybe Young Rider of the Year. There's loads of different categories on the Motorsport Awards for 2019. You can have your say about Unsung Hero as well. Basically, the full list will be on the website from Monday, midday. Liam, early impressions. I mean, who would you, if you were going to nominate someone, and I urge you to because you're allowed, who would you say for, I don't know, up-and-coming star of the future or young rider?
Yeah, young rider, up-and-coming star. There's plenty of it. You've just got to look at the Cool Fab series this season. It's been absolutely fantastic. The British Talent Cup There's plenty of great riders in there. Got lots in the world scene in the CEV, Carlos Tati, things like that. So it's tough now with obviously the motorbiking world becoming ever more professional. There's a lot more riders that start a lot younger, so there's lots of great up and comers. So I mean, I'm gonna have to sort of get my list of like 500 people out and whittle it down to
staying
one.
on the fence. Yes, we know. Okay, fair enough. You're allowed to also do that. All the nominations will be completely anonymous, by the way. So you could even, Josh Elliott, nominate yourself for Rider of the Year, and if enough people also put your name forward and you make the final list, which comes out in November, there you go. You're in the final of the Motorsport Awards, and you could even win it. Stranger things have happened. Can't think of any, but there you go. From Monday, we will spam everybody everywhere and tell everybody that the second annual Motorsport Awards is open for business. How exciting. Yay. Right, so let's continue.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
Hi, I'm Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.
Boom. And we are open for business. And it is... my music's off. Never mind. Oh, whatever. That always throws me when that happens. It's the Superbike Show. Lester here. We've got Liam and Michael Howarth as well. And just before, because there's been a few comments flooding online, because we're live, and a bit of reaction to Josh's interview. A lot of people... over the past 24 plus hours or so, since he made the announcement that he and OMG have parted ways, the overall impression that I get, coming from fans anyway, on the interwebs, is that it's a very, how to put it diplomatically, they were very upset, let's say. Super talented, Josh Elliott, and as I think I might have said once or twice to him, it's definitely not the last time we'll see him on a BSB bike. Might even be this weekend, who knows. Interesting interview, and well done, Michael, asking all the right questions, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, just whatever.
What you've got to say is, we've got kind of Josh's side of the story there, and you've got to be kind of diplomatic enough to think, right, well, the team have made the decision. The team hasn't got rid of Josh because they don't like him. Josh is a lovable character who gives his all, tries his best, brilliant at this kind of thing, like you say, he give his time tonight to come on, and when a lot of riders wouldn't do, and he was he's the consummate professional. So you've got to think the team had their reasons, and they've got rid of him rightly or wrongly. But at the end of the day, that team it's a privately owned team that run on their own funds. They're not sponsored. Sometimes you have sponsor commitments, and if you're not getting the right results, then you can see why someone would be let go, because the sponsors demanding a certain amount of results in a certain way. But with OMG, because they're just three guys that own the team, for whatever reason, they just saw fit that Josh didn't fit the book anymore, and Josh will be able to say that he didn't get the technical help that he wanted and the bike wasn't being moved on. But then with the team saying, well, this is what we've got and it's good. Now, Luke Moss hasn't really shown on the bike this year, so do they need some sort of technical development and a change? Do they need to move away? Did they think that they were going to have to find a rider that could actually help develop the bike, i.e. bring James Ellison in for the last two rounds and see where he got to, so that they can make an effort next year to be where they want to be, because they want to be in the show then. They've got the budget, and they've got the right mentality. So did they think that way, right? Josh hasn't developed the bike from winning at the beginning of the year. Do we need to bring someone in that can develop the bike? Can we make the change?
But they're switching from Suzuki though, so...
Well, well, that's true. They're going to BMW next year, aren't they? So
how can they develop
How can they develop it? Yeah, but what you... Bringing James in, for instance, he's going to run with their technicians, their mechanics and stuff like that. Now, if he can find something, even on the Suzuki, that Josh and Luke haven't managed to find this year, do you then think, right, well, he might be the man to develop the BMW because we got nowhere with the rider we had? So then, if they're going to BMW next year, James Ellison has been on a BMW this year. Did he get what he wanted at Smith's? Are OMG going to offer him that if they offer him a contract for next year? Right, the changes that you wanted made to the BMW, we're prepared to give you and give you a chance. You know, like I said, because of the showdown system now, and teams are seeing it as this, that the last 3 rounds, if they're not in the showdown, it's extra testing time to prepare for next year. If young Josh didn't fit OMG's plans for next year, you know, it could kind of cutthroat. Why bother keeping him? Why bother keep paying him a wage when they already know he's not going to be there with them next year? You know, and you know, harshly, that's the kind of reality.
It is cutthroat, as he said. I just want to say I haven't been ignoring people's messages, even though it kind of feels like I have. So apologies, Sam Lofthouse, and to Martin Rowley as well, to Reg Robinson, and to Steve and Nat Jarvis as well. Hello, Liam Merchant, Leroy Sands, and Tony Jacklin, all tuned in, amongst other people as well. People on Twitter also tuned in. Didn't have time to read out all your messages because we were busy doing the old interview there with Josh, so apologies about that. We're just not ignoring you. One thing that could have almost slipped away through the cracks of that interview, because it was quite lengthy, I would say. Something that I think you asked Liam, and he answered it with a cheeky smile, I think it was. He kind of admitted, and I hope I'm not misremembering this, he admitted that he is talking to Tycho.
Well, yeah, I think at this moment in time we'll be talking to everyone.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but in particular them, because you asked him about his previous history with them and yada yada, and he did admit that was, but yeah.
Well, yeah, we know that Philip Neal's and his team are very much like a family-orientated squad, so I believe that obviously having Josh in the past, then they won't forget that how close a relationship they had. So if Taylor's not confirmed for the final round of the season. Keith Farmer's unfortunately for the whole season, so that's why we've had different riders in that bike. Glenn's now away, so they could be looking for Josh for the final round of the season. I wouldn't put it out of the question, but PSB has been so all over the place this year with riders and teams changing about. You just don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, a wee bit of a wry smile. Maybe he's a bit more in advanced talks than what he's letting on. So.
His poker face isn't very good, is it? To be honest, it's really not. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not really. Yeah, I think we'd be able to swindle a bit of money out of him if we're playing him at blackjack or something like that. But
remember that, Michael.
It'll be interesting to see what happens within the next week or two. In case with Tycho and Josh, and I think they'd be a very good fit for each other.
Interesting.
Yeah,
although
I could see that. I could see that working. Like Josh was saying then himself, that the paddock is it's full of rumours at the minute as for next year's ride. And normally, like today, I went down to Donington to have a look round, and normally you can get information out of teams, and nobody was saying a word about next year. So there's a lot of things that need to fall into place before you could even kind of guess where certain riders are going to be next year. As soon as a couple of movements, then you can kind of work on that and work out where people are going to go. But yeah, today everyone was just like, nope, nothing, don't know anything.
Or was that just when you turned up? Everyone was like, yeah, no, just...
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Yeah, paddock just emptied itself like, oh God, he's back.
Well, we speculated last week. We did like a little 10-minute sort of video, me and Liam, and Liam speculated, not me, that maybe Brad Ray could be in the running at Tycho. So
I mean, you speculated as well.
Yeah, everyone's talking, like you say. You know, obviously deals are not done yet, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm guessing Christian Hidden isn't confirmed for next year with Tycho. And I don't want to speak out of turn because he always gets shot to shit. But
you? No.
Yeah, me. When BMW got the new bike, I thought, yes, keeping Christian Hidden at Tycho was a really good idea because it would give him a bit more motivation, the team a bit more motivation, there's something new to work at. But playing devil's advocate, would Christian Eden be suited to go to another team now and maybe try something else? Because I think Christian Eden has got a BSB title in him. Absolutely, I think he's a fantastic rider.
I'm sure he thinks that as well.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure he'll probably say different. And if he sees me at weekend, he'll probably tell me off for saying this. But is he almost a little bit too comfortable at Tycho? Is it just a little bit too? I know I'm going to be there next year. I know I'm going to be there next year. I know, even though he's saying now, I don't know I'm going to be there next year. But sometimes a change is as good as a rest. Should we say that? So for Tycho to get 2 new riders in next year and Christian maybe move to another team, because teams will be crying out for him if that's the case. Would it give Christian a better season? People's thoughts. Someone text in and give me your thoughts. I'd be interested to know what other people think.
Text Michael the abuse that he so richly deserves from time to time. So
the thing with Christian Eden, I still can't believe he's never won a BSB race.
It's
now
crazy.
he's been there for so long.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's wild because he's always battling for podiums in the showdown positions, but he's never won a race. I think it's long overdue. I'd love to see him win a race before the end of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I'd almost stake nearly £4 on it that Christian will win. Whoa. For a northerner, that's a lot. I can say Christian will have a BSB title in the bag before he retires. I'm near certain of that. So I don't want to sound derogatory that I'm saying should he needs to leave Tycho, because maybe he doesn't. But he's just been there for that long now. Is it? Let's think on Johnny Ray. Johnny Ray stayed at Honda forever and was dead loyal and got nowhere. And then as soon as he went to Kawasaki, look at what happened there. But that's maybe the scenario I'm thinking on.
Okay, so since you brought it up anyway, Michael, who else needs a good kick up the arse?
Oh, hell. If I'm going to BSB on Saturday, stop. No. If you say it needs a kick up the arse, because
there'll be a few, but I'll never even be allowed in the paddock if that was the case. I'd be escorted straight back out of there even before I got close to it.
Leave your comments in the comments box below wherever you're tuned into this.
I genuinely can't. I'm not even saying that Christian's underperformed this year, because Christian's tried his absolute heart out, and some of the crashes he had prove that, because he's not a quitter, and with no crash that Christian will ever have will make him slow down.
Yeah, he is talented, definitely. He's got the speed.
Can you think of a rider that has actually underperformed this season?
Scott Redding, all the way.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
Awful show from that boy. Yes.
I mean, he should have already won the championship, even though it's in the show.
I mean, you can say that James Ellison hasn't been where people thought he was. His results are almost coming before Smith's let him go, and they had different ideas. But I can't really think of a rider that I'm thinking should have been where they've been. I can't think of anyone that's underperformed. I think that when you go to actual timesheets and see how close it is, I can't really think of a rider that has.
Well, going back to that Josh Elliott interview from earlier, he or somebody, one of us, raised a good point, actually. Something that I think I'd mentioned on this show previously with Kiko, I think last year. And it was almost jokingly mentioned at the time, but I think Josh followed up on it there, that in some ways riders need a bit more contractual protection in some ways, I think. And I'd maybe taken it one step too further and say, well, what about a transfer window? A mid-season transfer window. So at least every team and every rider has up to a point, let's say every half season, a bit of security, knowing that your lineup is not going to change up until the transfer window. That was promptly shot out of the sky as being a ludicrous suggestion. But where do all the changes stop? Are we going to have different team lineups every other race?
I'm quite sure the bosses at BSB, Stuart and whatnot, would like to see a grid from the start of the season look very similar to a grid at the end of the season. But the hard fact of it is sponsorship for a domestic championship, even as big as BSB, is so hard to come by that I think it's down to the rider and the team to get the contract a little bit more watertight. I don't think you can put a transfer window in as such. And like we said, it's very cutthroat, and if the results aren't there and the team deem that you're not getting what they want from you, then you're going to go. and I don't see that changing in any other way other than contracts just need to be done a little bit better to give a rider a little bit more security. But if you're underperforming in a normal 9-to-5 job, they'll let you go. So it's not going to be much different at BSB. At Team X, if like, let's say, for instance, at PR Racing with Joe Francis, they did expect Joe to set the world on fire this year.
Oh.
And he's got some good results and hasn't been fired because they put him in a level and think, right, if Joe can do this week in, week out, that'll do us. Smith's expected James Ellison, a former race winner with McCams and podiums and this, that, and the other title contender, to be up there with Peter this year. Yes, the bike came late, but Pete's got on with it okay. So they've let him go. Would you be still employing James Ellison to finish in 25th position when you've bought him and expect him to be giving you a top 6 result every weekend? You can't then just say, oh, well, you start the year so you can finish the year with us. You want to, you want results. You've got sponsors to keep happy and such things. I know that Smith's, I'm quite massively self-funded, but still, your expectations are what they are. And if your rider's not delivering, then you've got to go.
It was interesting to hear from Josh directly as well. Him sort of set the record straight, and I think that was kind of part of the reason he wanted to come on the show as well. Not just because I asked him, but he wanted to set the record straight, put to bed all of the nonsense online, some of the rumours about was it about money? Genuine question. And he answered it, and he said it wasn't. And to be honest, I do believe him. But still, a shame that he's one of probably the most likeable young, quick lads on the grid. And as I say, a lot of people disappointed that he was that he had the fate that he did. Anyway, so right, we will move on because we've still got loads of stuff to talk about, and we're still in the first hour. Okay, and we've not even finished getting through all of the BSB news as well. I don't think, did we, Liam? Because I think we touched on Gino Rea being back on the MV. Michael,
hi.
What do you know about the MV?
It's an inline 4-cylinder, a 220 brake horse. It's a good bike. The team, everyone went a bit mental on social media when after the Cadwell Park run, the team got James Ellison on the bike, and obviously that didn't work out because James then jumped ship to OMG. But the reality was that Gino was brought in on the very last minute to test the bike on the Thursday. And because of what happened with Danny Kent, which I'm not going into, the subject's bored me now. And from that test, they said, yeah, if you want to ride the bike this weekend, we've got sponsor commitments, jump on it. And it was only before that rent. It wasn't that, it was not even a performance thing where...
Because Gino had he had like an endurance race to go to, I think, which clashed with what was the race after then? Alton, I think, wasn't it? Or wherever it was.
So it was just a dead set. I think, obviously if Gino would have podiumed it, then they'd have had no reason to swap him, but it just really was such a last-minute thing that it was like, jump on the bike and we'll see what happens. And again, I know James hasn't performed this year, but Gino's been with a ride all year. When James Ellison become available, he still had more bike time in BSB this year. So I think Dave Tyson and the MV Augusta squad were right in their thinking that James could do more on the bike than Gino Rea. But then Gino's really talented, and I think Gino will go really well at Donington this weekend because it's a track he's very familiar with from World Superbikes, and MotoGP, etc. and stuff. So it was just one of them things. And I'm sure in hindsight, Dave and the team might have thought, well, maybe we made the wrong decision for Alton Park, but an opportunity arose and they took it. And as it's turned out, James has gone his own direction and Gino's back on the bike. It shows there was no malice and no falling out between Gino and the team when he said we've got James because he's, he was the first choice to come back on. So exactly.
So in your thought, you've got the your ear generally to the ground, sometimes to the ceiling. But I mean, what have you heard about that team and that bike for next year? Anything? Nothing?
Well, I believe they want to. They will be on the grid next year. I know they're talking to riders. Do they want to expand to a 2-rider team or something? I don't know. It'd be the logical step. a lot of people are complaining about the bike, saying, "Oh, it's an old bike, it's all that, it's this and that," but it's making the power that the newer bikes are. And the one thing about the MV is it's a really, really good chassis, and not too dissimilar to the one that I rode in 2009. That bike was one of the best handling bikes I've ever rode. It just had more steam. The MV Augusta just needs a good winter testing program when, before and after the ban, to dial the engine and the electronics in for the little bit more stop-started kind of circuits we have in BSB, as opposed to World Superbikes. But I know the chassis package is capable of running in BSB, so it's just, if they can get that working, it'll throw up some strange results next year with the right riders on. It's a bike that should and will throw up a couple of surprises at a couple of tracks.
I'm sure.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. So no news on anything about anything there. Thank you. So
Sounds like you're a very big fan of the MV.
So if you've not heard as well, there's been some new red flag rules put in place from this round at Donington. I've forgot the exact rule, what it is, and I can't get the browser up at the moment.
Is it essentially that if you fall off when you're leading the race and it's red flag, rather than starting from the grid position from the previous lap, you will actually start at the back of the grid, and the rest of the grid that hasn't fallen off will be formed from the lap before or something like that, isn't it?
I think if
it's a small change to that.
Yeah, it's very technical, and I fell asleep halfway through reading it.
I read it. I did read it last night, and
it's sort of like after three.
I was dragged out on Tuesday night. And when I was trying to read it last night, I'm still too rough to deal with this. But I think the basics of it are kind of that. It's going to be the grid formation after red flag has changed ever so slightly from where it used to be. It's going to be taken from a full lap, and if you crash leading and you're deemed, if you're not the cause of the crash or something, so it's, if you're a leader and you've crashed on over, you will have to start from the back of the grid then or something like that. I'll get a proper definition of it this weekend.
Yeah, well, there has been a very well-defined explanation already put out. To my shame, I don't have a copy with me because, again, I fell asleep.
We'll have to think of some idiot's guide to the red flag rule, and that's what we'll have to come up with. Because I still can't understand it properly myself.
I prefer the just go on social media and slag everybody off about what you think it should be the rule, rather than what the actual rule is. I prefer that way, or as everybody calls it, the BSB group on Facebook.
Yeah. When we've got something similar happening between World Superbikes and BSB and the rules are completely different and people are stating, well, why is Tom Sykes get bloody this and that because he didn't get back within 5 minutes, and at BSB someone stuck 10. Well, it's a different championship, mate. It's different rules. So before you start slating, find out what the real rules are like. Maybe we should have done before we come on air when we're going, yeah, there's a new red flag rule. What is it? Well, it
could be this, it could be that. Right, we'll find out.
Right.
But yeah,
way, the people that
we like to speculate.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. Put simply, yes, indeed. Also, if you are not aware and you are hoping to go camping this weekend at Donington, and you happen to have purchased a lovely premium camp site overlooking the turn there, because I think they priced them based on like view and stuff. Well, anyway, your campsite's flooded and you've been moved outside of the circuit now. Anyway,
is that still the hangover from the Download Festival? Too much muck.
When was it? And I think that was just this week's rain, to be honest, because MSV were monitoring the situation.
I like the way they say. I like the way they put that. We've been constantly monitoring the situation. They've looked out the window and gone, "Yeah, still pissing down."
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Like, I don't fancy camping.
No, we can't have that there.
But yeah, basically that's what they've done, and for everybody's safety and enjoyment, they've moved the campsite completely out of the track. I think to it was like an overflow campsite basically for like massive events, like the next door farm.
The back of the technology part for the Formula E thing, isn't it? So
yeah, at the back of there.
One of the batteries goes up in flames. At least everyone will be warm.
Exactly. Fantastic. So, talking about, we're still getting through the news, Liam. There's been a bit of movement in Stock 1000.
Yeah, so Build Base have got a new recruit, Kyle Reid, who was the GP2 champion for this year. So he's going to be doing a couple of races in the Stock 1000 on the Build Base Suzuki. So it's a great.
How many riders have they got now? Like 6 or something.
What's that?
They've got like a load of riders.
Yeah,
sure.
Cooper, Brad Ray, Stapleford. Yeah, so they've now got 4.
Okay.
It's great to get him on a bigger bike. Maybe they're trialing him out for next season in BSB. Not trying to start a rumour or anything.
So he's going to take over from Ray then, is he? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, I never said anything like that.
Wow,
That
breaking news right here.
Breaking news, isn't it?
Lester Forbes lies again. So,
I'm just hearing words. I don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah, Kyle Reid. Yeah, good on him, good lad, and a former Cool Fab graduate, or an actual Cool Fab graduate.
That's the flip side of the coin, isn't it? Where we've got poor Josh that has been deemed by his team for not performing this year. He's saying it's technical or whatever, but then you've got Kyle Reid that's been rewarded for his results. And I've been a big advocate of young Kyle's talents for many years, even though the other week on social media he did put, when I was 15 you were one of my heroes, and now I think you're a knob, which was fair. It was harsh but fair, but I still maintain that little duck egg pillock from them south is one of the best riders in the world and just needs nurturing. He's, from the outside looking in it, I believe he's not temperamental, but he needs the right person to look after him, to run him. He's Ryan Saxelby that's run him on the Moto2 bike this year. He won the British Championship with him previous in Moto3, or is it whatever it was, and I think it was 125s. So with the right person around him, and Richard Cooper's been a big part of his thing this year. Kyle's still definitely young enough in it. I still, but you watch that kid ride and you know what you're looking at. He's one of the best riders I've ever seen, bar none.
Yeah, I remember back in the 125 days, he was setting the wall of the light, destroying everyone in the class. So, yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one. He is one of the best riders in Britain at the moment, and I'm surprised it's taken him this long to actually work his way up to, even Stock 1000. So, as we were saying, it could be a trial for next year's BSB team. I would definitely think he's going places. Probably World Superbikes at the very least one day. I would actually like to see him in Moto2, personally, because obviously he's gotten used to the Calyx chassis and being on a Moto2 bike. So I think actually him being in Moto2 would be something to behold, and I think he could do just as well as Jake Dixon. Yeah,
when he rode the Superbike for, I think he did the very last round a couple of years ago for FS3. And he got points and got results, and you could just see that, yeah, Kyle on a Superbike will work. Do you know what I mean? So I would well imagine he'll get, I don't know what the weather's like, I don't know if and he may well have been out on the bike today around Mallory Park on the Suzuki, but it will be interesting to see what he can do on a stocker. And I personally think he'll go very well. But I am going to kick him up his arse when I see him on Saturday for calling me a knob. So get ready, Mr. Ride.
Faint praise, indeed, from Michael Howarth. Well done, Kyle. If it leads on to maybe even, as was said here, a full 2020 BSB ride, then yeah, good on you, and certainly talented enough.
I don't know if Kyle's watching this, but my brother, he plays the MotoGP 19 game quite a lot, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this person called Kyle Reid 77 appeared online and destroyed him. So he messaged him later on that night. He was like, "Are you actual Kyle Reid that races at the GP2 bike?" And a couple of days later he went, "Aye, I am, mate." So yeah, I thought that was quite funny. So there we go. Not only quick in real life, but also quick in the virtual world as well.
Indeed, yes. And we've had a question flood in for Mr. Michael Howarth. A question from Angie Wood. Hello, good evening, Angie. Thank you very much for tuning in. Well, you can at least pay attention, Michael. You've had a question.
I'm listening.
You've had a question flooding. Angie Wood says, "When are we going to see you racing again?"
Who knows?
Next year?
maybe next year, maybe never. I don't know. I am genuinely trying to work on something now. My body's, well, the best it's going to be. I wouldn't say 100%, but now the hip's good and the arm's healed. I'm definitely going to try to get on something next year, but we'll have to wait and see. It all depends on funding and things like that, because unfortunately I'll never be offered a ride. We've got to kind of do something myself or prove my worth. But yeah, we're trying to do something. And that's all I can say. Really.
Well, maybe you can go to Quorn and ask them for some sponsorship.
Yeah, I think me getting any kind of sponsorship from vegetarian, vegan type outlets is quite somewhere between nil and none.
Michael Hour, sponsored by Greta Thunberg. Anyway,
don't talk to me about that little shit.
Anyway, thank you very much for the questions that flooded in, and well, we've not even talked about MotoGP, which is happening.
Oh, hang on. Is Fraser Rogers moved on to super stock for Donington? Has he not gone back with Morello?
He has. I thought that was already announced ages ago. Though I just presumed.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but
maybe other people didn't know either. So there, Lester.
So what you're saying, is that definitely happening? Because I thought that was already a thing anyway.
Well, obviously he jumps on the super sport bike, didn't he, for Galen after they come to the end of the thing with the Superbike? But
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know if it had been put out into the public domain or not. I'd seen a picture of him testing the bike. I didn't even know whether it had been confirmed, to be honest.
Well, if you tuned in anyway, Fraser, let us know.
Yeah, he'll be too busy dancing with Scott in his motorhome now.
We've seen the videos. Yeah, it'll be all on social media.
The Litty Committee.
Just don't. Needs to stop that right now with all that.
Right. MotoGP.
Yeah, we'll get to MotoGP later, because World Superbikes, and we have an important question to ask Jonathan Ray.
Yes,
a lot of people now saying that perhaps his achievement that he did at the weekend doesn't necessarily make him as good as Fogarty. Some people saying that. We're not saying that, but some people saying that.
I am.
Go on then. There's always one.
Straight up, man. How the hell can you not say he's the greatest World Superbike rider of all time now after his achievements? Just
hooray!
That's too many people living in the past saying that Foggy's are the best, and I'm fortunate enough to know Foggy, and he's actually quite a funny guy when he's not being a miserable shit. But
isn't everyone?
I've got to see, you can't say that the way Johnny Ray's dominated World Superbikes, that he's not the greatest rider they've ever had.
Especially what he's done this year.
The route of saying, Foggy won it on different manufacturers and things like that, because he didn't. Foggy moved to Honda and did nothing, and all the RC45 wasn't the greatest bike then. But come on, he's come back from the points deficit he did this year. I know, some might say that Bautista threw it away, but to win 5 titles back to back in such dominant form against riders of the class that are still there in World Superbikes, come on, he's got to be the best rider they've ever had, I think.
Liam, your thoughts?
Don't know if I should argue against that, but I might just for the sake of it. So, well, I mean, yeah, well,
you'll have the internet on you.
Does obviously, have the most amount of championships that any World Superbike champion has ever had, with 5 now. And Michael makes up a great point. He was 61 points behind Bautista at one point in the season, ended up winning it this weekend by 129. But for argument's sake, Foggy was the best of all time because he had to race against Corser, Haga, Keeley, Aaron Slate, Colin Edwards. So there was a lot of riders that just had a world-class caliber against them that also went racing MotoGP.
Bautista doesn't have that.
What's that?
Bautista doesn't have a world-class.
Well, I mean, he's not a MotoGP race winner. Obviously, we know that the rest of them are not just mentioned.
250 World Championship.
Sorry?
Did Bautista not win a 250 World Championship?
He won the 125s, yeah. So yeah. But yeah, just for argument's sake.
All right then. Look at Troy Corser. How did he fare in MotoGP? How did any of the other riders fare in MotoGP or 500 as it was then that Foggy was racing with? It's all relative. around the riders. What you got with Corsa and Foggy and Bayliss and that was very close, very tight racing. But does that make Corsa better than Sykes, for instance? Does it? Or it just, Johnny Ray's just been so dominant that he's maybe made some of the other riders around him just look a little bit average when they're far from it. Sykes is won a world championship on the Kawasaki. They built that bike around him, and Johnny Ray came in and just went, this is a bit of me, and went away and did it. It's like we'll end up with this with Marquez and Rossi in the MotoGP. I think it's all relative to the time. You can't really... I'm saying that, yes, I believe Ray's the greatest of all time, but sometimes it's just eras, isn't it? No, apart from Bayliss, he had one ride on the Ducati where he destroyed the MotoGP field and won the race. I think it was Valencia. No other real rider from World Superbikes has gone to MotoGP and dominated. Ben Spies did, I suppose. He went to MotoGP and won races and did well, but he only did a season in World Superbikes and mullered the field that was there. So, I
think Frankie Keeley was the only other one, a wet Mazzano in '96 or something.
Yeah,
but that was after half the field. Yeah. So, it's. I was just obviously saying that for argument's sake. It's so hard to say because Ray is racing against different people in a different era. Now, many people look back in the 90s as the greatest era. In many ways it was.
Well, it was
in some
different.
ways the racing was that?
It was just different.
Yeah, it was. The racing was different, the riding was different. Could maybe argue maybe some of the machinery was closer, but then it's not. If you look at it now, the only person that's running away with everything is Ray, and before that was Bautista, and they were kind of making the difference. So it's hard to say. Maybe Ray is making a difference. He absolutely is in many ways because he's now won 5 in the bounce. He's destroying Leon Haslam. I thought Leon Haslam would be a lot closer to Ray this year and what he actually is. And Alvaro Bautista on the Ducati was running away with it before whatever happened to him happened. Was it all his own mistakes? Yeah, some ways. Was it teams? Potentially, but I think Ray just started putting pressure on him, and that's where he started making his mistakes.
Yeah, I think maybe you could say it that way, couldn't you? The greatest era of World Superbikes was probably Foggy's era. Does that make him the greatest rider? I think Ray, you've got to just look at Ray's achievements and the dominance that he's shown, and you've got to say, really, he's probably the greatest World Superbike rider of all time, but Foggy was in the better era of World Superbikes, like you said. But back then, World Superbikes was almost like a Ducati Cup. If you had a Ducati and you got enough factory parts because they were readily available, then you were up there. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that. Ray, best rider, Foggy in the best era.
For now.
For now.
Yeah, well, it's never definitive, is it? Because in a few years, we might look back and say, well, this was actually we don't know how lucky we were. Because
so do you say it like that then? In Foggy's era, Foggy was the greatest rider. In Ray's era, Ray's the greatest rider. But you can't say that one's definitively better than the other. So you don't put him at the top of the tree. Like you're going to get. When Rossi retires, he's going to, and Marquez overtakes him, then does Marquez become the greatest of all time? Do they become better than Agostini? I think...
There's only one way to find out.
Yeah. Rossi's achievements, what he's won against someone, say, Ago, I class Rossi as better because he's done it on in less championships and not rode as many races in a weekend and not done as many races. So I go with that. But undoubtedly, Marquez is the greatest rider probably the world has ever seen at this time, but then Marquez's time will come where someone outdoes Marquez. It's such a tough one.
Oh yeah, and in World Superbikes, for example, in 10 years' time, we could be talking about how Toprak is probably the greatest rider we've ever seen in World Superbikes, because we know he is definitely on his way to winning championships. It's just a matter of when, not if. So it's all relative to the era, as you've said, and. You can never really tell. You can never compare eras or different riders from different eras because they're all brilliant in their own special cause from that time. So,
how's that fence that you're sitting on?
It's getting more comfortable now.
Said me. Who's never offered
Who's not said anything.
Who's never offered an opinion about anything and no one's noticed yet. What's this all about Top Cat?
Oh God!
You've got the British fan club going.
Oh, really? Really? Oh, I don't know. Toprak, the greatest rider of all time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, when Kiko was doing the show, I mean, he was banging on about him every other week, and he was like,
You can't not be impressed by him. He is.
Well, being impressed doesn't necessarily mean he's going to. Oh, he's definitely going to be a future world champion. He's definitely going to be like the next era's greatest. Yada yada yada, and blah blah blah.
If you look at it, he's consistently been the only one that can really get to Ray this season. Yeah, Bautista obviously ran away with it, but ever since his issues, he's not really been there. Toprak has been there week in, week out, especially since, I'd say about round 3. And he's now won 2 races at Manicure, race 1 and the Superpole race. And if it wasn't for him crashing in race 2 and taking out Bautista, he could have easily challenged Ray or maybe even taken another one. So he's going to Pata Yamaha next year. He could be Johnny Ray's biggest challenge.
Well,
I don't think he will be. I instantly don't. I think watching Toprak ride, unless he alters his style quite dramatically, I think he's going to find, and I'll get proved wrong like I always do, but I think he's going to struggle a little bit on the Yamaha to start with. Toprak maybe in 2021 maybe a contender against the likes of Ray and Bautista and such and Scott Redding, but I think he'll take quite a while to adapt to the Pata Yamaha. The Yamaha is a very, very different and difficult bike to ride, and you've got to get on with it straight away. It's very much you brake much earlier and you get on the gas an awful lot sooner on the Yamaha. It's just the way that the bike works, and running an awful lot of corner speed. Whereas the Kawasaki is very much of the old era of stop and start. You barrel it into a corner, you stop that thing, and you pick it up and you fire it. And the Yamaha's characteristics of the way the bike works just don't work like that. So he'll have to get to terms with that quite straight away. Otherwise, there'll be nowhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah, well,
there, Toprak.
Sorry.
take that, Top Cat.
So
yeah,
go on.
And he is young enough, and he is good enough that he could do that. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you get the misconception that the Yamaha is very easy to ride because of the way it works in MotoGP, that the rookies can jump on it and go very fast, but it's still a different bike in BSB form and World Superbike form, and it's quite a difficult bike to get to grips with, really. Again, he'll prove me completely wrong and he'll piss off into the distance next year, but I think that Top Cat, I love that. I'm actually very impressed with that, Lester.
Thank you.
But I'm very impressed. The Toprak needs to, him and his manager need to be able to believe that it's going to be a 2-year thing before he gets up to speed, and not put pressure under himself in the first year and crash his brains out and kind of lose confidence with the bike. I think it wants to be a slow building process, and for him, I mean, look at Marco Melandri. He's gone on the Yamaha this year, and absolutely, I mean, I think he would have retired anyway, but he's nowhere. He cannot get to grips with that bike in any way, shape or form. But Loris Baz has jumped on it and kind of top 10 straight away. So, yeah, if he gets enough time on the bike, I think towards the end of the next season he'll come on with Top Cat, but I don't think he'll be a contender.
Fair enough. And in the meantime, till 2021, as you say, Michael, maybe Liam can put in a nomination for old Razgatlioglu in the Motorsport Awards.
It's for holidays for next year or two as well now.
Well, so staying with World Superbikes, a couple of other little topics bubbling under maybe ones to watch, let's say. Liam, Haslam, he's coming back to BSB, isn't he?
Oh, well, yeah, probably. He's not put out the question. Alex Lowe's looks like he's best placed to maybe take his ride. So it's not been the greatest of years for Haslam. He's not done too badly, but he's not won races.
Understatement.
He's had
he could have done. Yeah, he's had podiums, but he's not won races. But I think.
Well, that's just a bit like saying, well, he was also there.
Well,
it's hard to come back from BSB to World Superbikes if you've been out there for a few years. Alex Lowe's looks like the best person to take his place. That's been banded around. I think it's nearly confirmed. I could be very wrong. That he'll go there. Haslam back to BSB. Not a bad shout. I know that he draws in lots of crowds, and it'll be great to have Leon back in the series.
Do you want to know what I think? Total prediction, and I might be
going to Kawasaki and World Superbikes. Is that what you're going to say?
No, and I might be more wrong than Michael Howarth if such a thing is possible. But Leon Haslam to own or take over from Pete Extons and run a team in BSB at some point in the next 2 years. Let's say next year.
I do like the idea of that. That is good. Alex has been confirmed as leaving Pata Yamaha, hasn't he? The Crescent setup. He has confirmed that he's left, so you can only surmise that, yes, he's pretty much guaranteed the number 2 seat at Kawasaki, although, like I say, it hasn't been confirmed. Is Leon? I think Leon's trying to stay in World Superbikes with, is it Pacetti? But I guess that's down to funding issues, whether they can find a sponsor, because obviously their budget has basically been covered by the Turkish Federation and Red Bull and such. So, yeah, you can say Leon coming back to BSB, but I think Leon's holding out as long as he can to get the World Superbike ride with Pacetti. And then where does Leon go if he comes back to BSB? Who's he going to ride for?
His own team, probably. See out his own career.
That would... Yeah, I mean, again, so apparently FS3 have got both their riders, and I couldn't find out who the second rider was, but I do believe that it isn't Leon. So everyone's thinking that...
What about PBM? Could he go there? Because obviously Reading will be there next year. Brooks, I can imagine, will probably stay.
Yeah, but it's... I mean, Cammy is up for that role, isn't it? Again, nothing confirmed. That is a lot of hearsay. I genuinely... I'm not going to lie, Lester. I think that's something that never even crossed my mind. Leon has got... If Leon had the funding and got the sponsorship, which you'd be quite sure that with Leon's his history, his dad, the family,
exactly,
they could pull that together.
I mean, it won't be the factory team,
and with Pete, almost maybe like a partnership with Pete Extons as such, rather than buying him outright.
Because Pete hasn't actually said Pete hasn't actually said that he's definitely stepping down and quitting completely. He's currently, I think, assessing his options is what the press release said. So it might be that actually transpires, that they actually go into partnership with a view to once all doors are closed in World Superbikes, maybe Leon taking over from Bournemouth full time, maybe in 2021. Maybe I don't know. Just a theory. So
not a bad one.
I'll put that one out there. I'll let the internet decide.
I know that I was reading today that Camille has been talking to Barney Ducati and Tenkati for next season, so he's definitely trying to stay in World Superbikes. That's his first choice. I think BSB. Yeah, I think Paul Bird would love him in the team. He'd suit that Ducati and that team very well. But Tenkati and Barney Ducati, that'd be another great step in the right direction for Leon. So I hope he doesn't leave World Superbikes just yet. I think he's still got unfinished business there.
Yeah. I mean, looking at Leon, Honda haven't confirmed who their riders. The second rider is going to be in World Superbikes. And if I was Honda, I would seriously look at Leon and his dad to come and be a brand new bike next year. The only information we can get out of them so far is that it's going to have wings. It is an inline 4. It's not going to be a V4. Apparently 220 brake horse as standard, but whether that's the crank or the back wheel, I'm not sure. But it looks like it's going to be... Honda putting an awful lot of work into it, and for someone to develop a bike in its first year while they're trying to get Bautista to run away with it, I'd say that Leon would be an ideal candidate. But I've not heard anything. Maybe they'll keep Keogh on it for next year to do what he's doing this year, and that's just mile after mile after mile after mile.
Don't rule out Johan Zarco just yet.
I think Johan's going to stay in MotoGP as a test rider, isn't it? Maybe a few Moto2 appearances, or maybe if Yamaha are going to up their testing program for next year, maybe we'll get the 6 wild cards that they're allowed to see where he's at.
Yeah, I definitely noticed his intention to stay in MotoGP and do some wild cards, but you never know with Johan Zarco. He could just pull a surprise out of nowhere and go to Honda for next season.
He could do.
It's kind of a Johan thing.
Yeah, and if anyone is watching or listening in that has seen this awful Photoshop that someone's done of that new Honda for next year, it's that bike that's out there is not the new Honda. It's someone's done a dreadful Photoshop of the current Fireblade and put an RCV back end on it, and even the belly pan is off the Repsol Honda bike, and people are shouting from the rooftop, "This is the new Honda." Well, it's not. It absolutely isn't.
Interesting. I've not saw that or seen that. Neither did I also do the good English as well. I didn't see that on the social media. I did see that I think Paul Bird was selling his or two Ducatis.
Selling them for what, 18 grand each, or was it more?
I forgot the exact price, but I briefly saw it appear on my feed, and then I saw it on one of the websites, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, that's the thing. Okay, fair enough." Don't know why that's noteworthy, but whatever.
But he's selling the V twins. He's not selling the V4s.
Right.
It's the previous bikes that are for sale. I thought it was 70 grand. With certain, you get certain bits and spare engine or something. But no, it's not. It's not the bikes that are on this year. It's his old previous bikes.
Aye. Not bad. I'll have two. Anyway, so I think that's all the World Superbike related and Superbike related news wrapped up. Unless there's...
Is anyone going to say congratulations to Johnny Ray on winning the title? By the way,
I think
should
we
we
did.
not?
Oh yeah, because we did.
Congratulations, Johnny.
Yeah, congratulations,
Oh, Johnny!
Yay!
I feel like we just say congratulations every week to him. It's kind of become the norm and we've forgotten about it.
We did give him a lot of praise, although I sort of like. Yeah, I know what you mean. I was. Congratulations, Jonathan Ray. And by the way, Sunday the 15th of December, I think, Sunday the 15th of December at 4 p.m. is the date for the Motorsport Awards Grand Final show. It'll be streamed exclusive on Motorsport Radio, and also a few hours later that same evening you can tune in and watch, no doubt, Johnny Ray become the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. It has to happen, surely.
Well, I mean, if he becomes our Rider of the Year, then what does it matter if he wins a BBC one? This is the one that matters.
Howard's high-sided. He's gone.
I'm still here. I'm just watching it, just checking something. Sorry.
Well, I think you should zip it up, to be honest.
Sorry.
I've seen the internet pictures. Distracting me from my train of thought, and I don't have many of those. On the Motorsport Awards date, Sunday the 15th of December, is also the same date as when the Sports Personality of the Year, the highly controversial Sports Personality of the Year, will take place, because he almost won last year, and I'm sure there will be, I will make sure there'll be a campaign for him to actually take that title. I'm sure he has to, surely. Anyway, we'll get to that in December. So all the World Superbike news, congratulations, Johnny Ray. And I think we just got... It wasn't anything negative. I think we just got sidetracked with all the gossip and stuff. Over to MotoGP, that little championship over there. MotoGP, and there's been lots of gossip, Liam, already coming out. Was it today? I think the news emerged that Rossi is launching a title bid for 2020. How's he doing it?
He's doing it by dumping his crew chief and getting a new one. A title bid, that's I don't know, it's been over, I would say over dramatic, but obviously overestimating his chances for next year. I know I've probably just got a lot of hate online for saying that, but
yep.
I can't imagine him having a massive turnaround the same way he did from 2013 to 2014 when he dumped Jeremy Burgess and took Silvano Galbaceda. There's a lot of people thinking within the paddock, and I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not, but they're thinking that Silvano Galbaceda is the one that's actually kind of made this decision himself, because MotoGP is increasing its calendar year on year, and next year it's going up to 20 races, and it's going to go to 21 and 22. So it's just going to keep building, and people with young families and people that are slightly older don't want to travel the world as much as they did. So they're thinking that's a lot to do with him. Potentially, it could be Rossi wanting a change as well, trying to bring in someone new, some fresh ideas, maybe just freshen up the atmosphere within his side of the garage. And it might not make him stay around for 2021. It might do if his results start picking up again, maybe win some races. But the person he's bringing in is Davide Munoz, who works with that guy. You and him get on quite well, don't you, Lester? Who works with Nicolo Biliga in Moto2 and took Francesco Bagnaia to the Moto2 title in 2018. So
fair enough.
Someone's part of the VR family. It's quite strange that he's bringing up someone from Moto2 who doesn't have that much experience with electronics and MotoGP, but recently Maverick Vinales has done the same thing, and his crew chief has worked absolute wonders for him this season. Being able to it's not just getting the bike in check, it's also giving the rider new motivation, new confidence, working well with him, how it all gels together. So it could be a move in the right direction for Rossi. He'll be 41 next year. It'll be tough for him, but if this is what brings him new motivation, then yeah, by all means go for it and see what happens.
Sometimes it might just be the case, like you said, that you just need to freshen things up and shake things up a bit. If something isn't working, clearly he's not happy and he's not understanding why things, or maybe he does understand, maybe he's getting a better understanding now of what's not working and why. So
I think that's what he said when he dropped Burgess at the end of 2013. It just feels like he needed someone new in there. Obviously, Burgess took him to his 7 MotoGP titles, worked with him for 14 seasons, ever since he came up to the 500 class, and then just progressing at the end of 2013. Just felt like it just Burgess wasn't bringing in new ideas and trying different things that maybe he wanted to try. So he brought in Galbacera, and all of a sudden, 2014 was a fantastic year. Launched a title bid in 2015, and then sort of since then it's slightly gone back down a hill again. Could be Rossi's age, could be everyone else just sort of making improvements. But then again, if he's the only one within the team that actually, or he's the only one on the inside that will know for sure if it's him or if he really needs something different. So I personally don't think it will be a big turnaround like the 2014 one was, but I could be very wrong. I usually am on this show.
Michael, Rossi's clutching at straws now, and it's over, and he's the only one who's not realised it. Isn't that true?
I'm just going to go and find a fence to sit on, to be honest. Yeah, you've got it. I hate saying this, but it is almost that, isn't it? I don't think he's clutching at straws, because I think it is Galbashari's. I think it's his preference to leave. And I think if it had been any other rider in the series, well, maybe not Marquez, but anyone else would have been changing crew chiefs, would have got a tiny little paragraph about it. And, they're making a mountain out of the molehill just to get it in the press that, Rossi's changing this and Rossi's changing that. The bike should be a better package next year if Yamaha are going to do a little bit more. Maybe a bit of new blood for Rossi, and fresh ideas may give him a kick up the arse, and he might get a couple of wins out of next year if it is what many believe it will be his swan song here in the series. So I'm sure he wants to give himself the best chance, but will he be a title contender? Can't really see it, but it would be nice to see him get quite a few podiums and just if it's going to be his last season, go out on a high. So the opinion, if he wants to carry on after that, then he should. It's up to him. But yeah, it's just, I think it's a lot of noise about nothing, really.
Interesting. Okay, I suppose we'll let the internet decide on that. I think I can hear them screaming already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when you say something negative about Rossi, then you've got to run to the hills.
Hello, all the Rossi fans. By the way, absolutely nothing against him, the goat. But yeah, maybe it's just a combination of things that have happened past couple of years, his age, the certain knowledge that he will one day step down or be forced to step down.
Well, the way things are going with Fabio Quartararo, then I don't think Yamaha will be wanting to get rid of him anytime soon, and they'll be wanting him in the factory squad. So it's hard to say. I mean, Rossi's not doing a bad job. He's actually still doing a good job, but he's
but he's not there to just do a good job.
That last little bit that he used to have.
Yeah, that's the problem. Rossi's not doing a bad job still. I think he's had more fourth places than he's had bad results this year. I mean, he's had a couple of atrocious kind of finishes. I know he fell off 3 times in a row, but I think he's still a top 5 rider.
But is that good enough for himself?
Well, if they had a number 1 rider that was better and was pushing Marquez for the championship, his teammates he's so unpredictable that Vinales is realistically, if Rossi decided he wanted to go into 2021 and stay, I would see Yamaha dropping Vinales before they drop Rossi. They've got the kudos of Rossi. They know that Rossi would be able to back Quartararo up more often than not. And would he be able to bring Quartararo on and help develop him before he left? It must be so frustrating for Yamaha to watch Vinales be so strong at the end of the races where he's quick.
Mm.
But he's always 3 laps too late before he can put his challenge in to take on Marquez and Dovizioso also a lot of the time. So Quartararo's definitely the future, but it's just when and who is going to replace at the factory. But Rossi may already make that decision for them and say that next year is going to be his last year and he's done. So we'll see.
Might even be over the winter, because why would you announce that something's going to be your last season ahead of or in the middle of what actually is your last season? Surely you want to do it or you just want to cut it there.
Well,
surely.
The speculation is if he decides to say it'll be at Mugello, which will give everyone the last sort of chance of seeing him. It's a big announcement, so it'll be like it'll be sad, but it'll be like a big festival atmosphere. So he's given himself. He's done this ever since 2013, really. Well, giving himself sort of 6 or 7 races to see how he's doing, and over the last few years, he's done absolutely fine. He's done better than what he led on to believe that he would. But this time round, it may not be enough. That's all I'll say.
I know that I think Dorna would want him to say if it was going to be his last year before the start of the season, because could you imagine the size of the crowds for Rossi's Swan Song year, his final farewell to every track?
Oh, it's a massive marketing advantage.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to book tickets to Mugello next year, just in case it is his last year. I just want to experience that atmosphere at Mugello.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think it'd just be something to behold.
I do think every circuit, even Silverstone, would be packed to the rafters if people could go just to see the legend, the greatest of all time so far, race for one final time at the top level before he bows out. And I think I'd even pay to go and watch that, to be honest. So yeah, and the reason I suppose it's even a talking point is because he still in this day and age commands that greatest of all time title, despite Marc Marquez's achievements.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'd be privileged, to be honest, as fans, to see the era, a big era, of 2 of the best ever riders.
I've gone to Valencia the last 2 years, and I'm going again this year, and seeing those 2 together on the racetrack, it's something that you can't even explain. You've got to be there, because obviously you've got the Rossi fans against the Marquez fans, and when they're in track together, there's one booing, there's the other one that's cheering. It's back and forth. I personally think they're both incredible. I can't deny that I'm a fan of both of them in a certain degree, because just watching 2 of the best of their generation go at it and be on track together, it's absolutely incredible. So watching those 2 together on a racetrack, I would suggest to anyone at least try and go to Valencia just to see it, even if it next year, because it might be the last time.
Are you going again this year, Liam?
Yeah, I'm going again this year.
Oh, I'm there.
Are you there?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Should have.
I'll catch up for a wee drink.
Yeah, well, I didn't know till I got there that it was a dry circuit, so you could only drink outside. So I walked up and down paddock.
Yeah.
This is great, and then went to the bar.
We only found that out on the Sunday night because we kept going to the bar and you could the Estrella Galicias were in blue and red, and you were like, okay, the blue is the non-alcoholic one, the red is the alcoholic one, and I'd been ordering the red one the whole weekend, and it turned out it was non-alcoholic as well. So I was like, what a waste of money.
School by error that.
No, yeah.
We've had a couple more comments come in. Hello to Tony Jacqueline, still tuned in. Hello. Hello to Brad Jones as well, who is or was tuned in. Hello, Tony Morris, long-time listener. And he says, "Oi, Michael Howarth, I hear you. The beers are on you this weekend." We'll see about that.
Joking, innit? He's joking.
Tony Jacqueline's been in touch and said, Rossi to World Superbikes in 2021. Now, that would be interesting, said Tony.
I think if he'd done that 7 years ago, then it'd be amazing. But I think he would even struggle to be Johnny Ray now.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I don't see it's a bit sad, isn't it, that the popularity of World Superbike is such now that I don't think Rossi would go. Maybe when it was talked about a few years ago, when
in the 90s,
World Superbikes was still, they were matching each other. I just don't. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it unless Dorna stepped in and paid him an exorbitant amount of money. But then, does Rossi even need that? He's fantastically rich. It'd be a pointless thing to do.
Well, David Hopper.
There'd be one stat that it might make him go, and it'd be the only person to win a MotoGP title and a World Superbike title. That might be the only reason he'd go, just to be the first person to do that.
Yeah, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, well, David Hopper's been in touch, and he says it's all about the revenue that Rossi brings in media and advertising, and you might be right, David. Adam Reason says the GOAT has had his day now. Fabio is the next big bet.
The challenge Marquez.
Rocket science, it is not.
And Cozy Cal, sorry if I've mispronounced that. Anyway, someone else has been in touch. It says, has Claudio Corti, Team WD-40, recovered from the accident? ?
I do not know the answer.
Well, I presume so. I've not heard. I don't know. Tell us more. Tell us what you're talking about. What? I don't. There's been anyway. Yeah. Thank you to all the comments and whatnot that's flooded in. Any news, Liam, about Moto 2, Moto 3? Anything that we need to know? Talk about?
Well, I was going to quickly mention that Marquez could wrap up the championship this weekend if
don't worry
he beats Dovizioso by 2 points, but well, I guess we don't really need to talk about that, which is fine. Hafiz Shirin is going to be moving back to Moto 2 next year, and the team is unconfirmed who will be going to, but it's heavily rumoured that he will be replacing Jake Dixon and the Angel Nieto team. Jake Dixon it's not confirmed yet, but it's hotly tipped that he will be moving to the Petronas team alongside Xavi Verde. Well, maybe it was, it may have been confirmed. There were so many news stories going around that I just wasn't sure what was actually right in the moment, so I just assumed that it wasn't confirmed, but it might be now.
I'm fairly certain that was pretty much confirmed.
I saw on Crash.net it was confirmed, and then I was on Twitter and people were saying, it's still hotly rumoured, so I'm not sure at the moment. I'll have to look more into that one.
I seen him at MotoGP. He was staying with the Nieto team, and he was moving to speed up chassis next year. And he was absolutely buzzing. And then apparently somewhere else he was quoted as saying on TV that contracts aren't worth a crap these days, because he'd just been told he was no longer needed in that team. And I think that's why the Petronas thing was thrown together. If it's been rumoured, I'm pretty sure it's also been confirmed, because they reduced the amount of grid slots, haven't they, for Moto 2 next year?
Yeah.
Dorna do want Jake Dixon in it, so something will have been put together. I know Petronas did want to run a two-rider team, and maybe it's a case of Dorna have said, if you want the extra grid slot for the foreseeable future, then you put Jake Dixon on the bike, and then the agreement is done, and etc. etc. So I think that's what's happened.
Perry will be. He won't be remaining with the Moto 2 team. He's moving down to Moto 3 again. So that leaves a place for Jake Dixon to move to.
All right, okay.
So yeah, I think that's where people are saying confirmed, but I've not seen it confirmed, if that makes sense. I've seen some places say it is.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd heard from. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, he's team manager. He's manager, not his team manager. His manager did say on the grid at Aragon a couple of weeks ago when I think it was Hodgson was speaking to him before the MotoGP race. He was asking about Jake Dixon, and he said that he'll be remaining in Moto2 next year. So, yeah, it's all about confirmed.
Tony Morris has been on. Good evening, and thanks for staying tuned into the show, I suppose. Tony, it's good to see you back. Dixon to Petronas, he seemingly confirms that. And he also says Lee Bob Jackson to FS3 next year. That's already been rumoured. I can't believe we've not already spoken about it. I don't think it's confirmed. But I've definitely heard that is a hot rumour. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, they like I said, so it was someone said that they had got their rider team selection for next year, and it was 2 riders, and both riders were signed. So maybe Lee Bob is moving up to Superbikes with them. Wouldn't be a bad show, would it? Wouldn't be a bad show.
Just wonder what had happened to the current Bournemouth riders at the moment. Ben and what's it face?
Peter Barber.
Yeah, Hanna Barbera. Yeah.
It'd be a shame to see Ben Curry not out on something next year in Superbike.
I'm sure he will be.
He's had a torrid time this season with injury, bless him. So yeah, but an Hector Barbera, well, I don't give it whether he's there or not, to be honest.
Oh dear.
He's just a MotoGP exile, isn't it? That came and he did all right, but
so is Scott Redding.
He's not fared any better than Glenn on the bike, and if he's not bringing anything to the championship, then sod him off and get a younger rider in somewhere. Sorry. Sorry, Hector, if you're listening, but yeah.
Oh, you just crushed his dreams.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Let us know your thoughts. We've got a couple of minutes left of the show. What else have we got to talk about? Any other big news?
Fantastic.
Hey?
Oh yes, good.
Oh yeah,
good show. I forgot about that one.
Here all week.
Well done. Fanati's going to be heading to Max Biaggi's team for 2020, and he's also managed by Andrea Iannone. So that's a match made in heaven for those three, a trio of troublemakers.
There's the fashion icon that is Iannone looking after him. A hot-headed little sod that Fanati is riding for another hot-headed little sod that is Max Biaggi. This could go fantastically well or catastrophically wrong. For all the work that Dona have put into Fanati and his anger management issues and him sorting himself out, you've got to say it's a very, very strange set. I mean, to be fair, Max Biaggi looks like he's completely... No, he's not a rider. He's not the man that he was, and he's a happier character. But there's no one else see what I thought when I heard the news. I thought, Christ on a bike, this could be carnage.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Fanati crashing into one of Valentino Rossi's guys, and those two going at it again? Not as riders this time, but as team managers. Oh, that would just be glorious to watch.
Yeah, the first job Iannone is going to do, he'll be plucking his eyebrows raw and he'll be right. Sit down, boy. We've got to make you look good.
Said Michael Howarth.
Well, so what?
So what, haters? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Fanati. I'm happy to admit that I was wrong versus what we said about Fanati at the start of the season. In that, but he basically just messed it all up, and we were taking bets as to when it would happen. But I hold my hands up right now. A rare moment of me admitting there's still time. No.
Oh, he's not racing this weekend. He's still injured, so he won't be racing at Thailand. So there's less time for him to mess up. To be fair, it's a shame because this season he's been trying so hard not to mess up. He's been barely anywhere.
Yeah, he's taken that many ride-through penalties.
It's affected his performance because he's so wary about doing anything wrong that it has affected his performance. So
lost his confidence.
Joking aside, maybe going to Max Biaggi's team and he might get if Max can control the fire in his belly, per se that it might be a good move for him. If he can get control, he's always needed his aggression to be controlled. So let's hope he can. So if we can. I need to wrap up shortly. I've got to kind of get out of my mother's bedroom. She wants to go to bed.
Well, we need to wrap up because we've run out of news, I think. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think.
Anyone that's at Donington on Saturday night, I'll be in the bar from about 9 o'clock.
Free drinks, you say?
Well, for me, yeah.
As long as you're buying. Yeah.
Drink for every day, but I can't promise that I'll be fully clothed by 9 o'clock.
No, well, that's just a normal day for you, I think.
Yes.
I mean, I've left the biggest news till last. I'll be making a raiding return at Coolfab next weekend on a mini moto.
Yeah,
So
I forgot about
for
that.
the first time in 12 years, I'll be riding something.
Liam will be
fail miserably at that.
reigniting his dreams of becoming a professional rider, as he will be.
I've been back at the gym training for it, so this is big for me.
Yeah, he'll be taking the senior mini motos bike and all his kit, Bernie Hook, and we might be looking for a new commentator come Sunday.
I'll be laying up in hospital. That's why.
Something like that. Yeah, so that'll be that. We'll bring you the evidence of that as soon as the police release the tapes. So that'll be next weekend live from Tattershall with Liam and also the kids as well. They'll be riding as well, I think. But Liam, he's off again. He's off on his travels, and he's gone. High side out.
No, absolutely.
What are you playing at? Anyway, so that is it. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I was a little bit hesitant of not doing a show tonight because we're not doing one next week because we'll be at Tattershall getting ready for Liam's big
miraculous return.
Yeah, something like that. Because we'll be literally
stream live, so we can all watch this and piss ourselves laughing at demise. On a minimum.
I know. I spoke to Bernie Hook and he said it doesn't matter if you crash. It'll be fine. It's like wait until I crash this one. You'll be saying this is fine at the end of the weekend.
And we'll have it from all angles. Don't you worry, Liam. So next week live on Motorsport Radio and on the Cool Fab Racing social media channels and accounts and everything, and basically everywhere. We'll put it up in the BSB fans Facebook groups. It is the Road to MotoGP Cool Fab Racing, and also from Monday, don't forget the Motorsport Awards nominations phase is open, so you can head to motorsportawards.com and nominate. I think it's about 34 different categories. Log in and sign up and join up and tell the rest of the world who you would like to nominate for best race bike of the year, rider of the year, young rider of the year, up and coming rider of the year, unsung hero, best race circuit. Basically, there's loads of categories. Howie's already off to do such that. But you've got to wait till Monday.
Yeah, you won't have my face, but you'll have my voice now for a minute or two.
Fantastic. Already started to strip off. Amazing.
Yeah, baby.
Right, so thank you very much for tuning in to the Superbike show. My name's Lester. Thank you very much to Josh Elliott, who's been on the show. It seems like ages ago since he was, but thank you anyway. We'll bring you the best bits of that interview as soon as we wake up tomorrow and edit it. And thank you very much to Michael Howarth for sitting in one place for almost 2 hours. Quite a difficult task for you, I know. It really is, and thank you very much to Liam Hodgins and you for tuning in. And we'll probably be back. We might even do like a special one-off live from Lincoln next week. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool. Let's do that.
We'll see.
Or from the closest hospital on a Friday night or something.
Exactly. So thank you very much, and that's it for the Superbike show. And good night.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hey everyone, Bradley Smith.
Hi guys, I'm Danny Buchan.
I am Tom Sykes.
This is Motorsport Radio.